He had everything a man could want: peace, security, the comfort of home. Yet one whisper from heaven would soon tear his world in two. Because sometimes, the greatest danger to the soul isn't suffering. It's comfort. Long before kings and kingdoms, before temples and crowns, there was a man whose quiet obedience would change the course of human history. His name was Abram, and in a world that worshipped idols carved from stone, he heard a voice that no one else could hear. A voice that said, "Leave your country, your family, and go to the land I will show you." No map, no destination, no guarantees, just a divine call that demanded separation. But few understood what that truly meant. When God first called Abram, he lived in Ur, a city of luxury, wealth, and noise. Trade routes flowed through its gates. The night sky glowed with torchlight. Temples rose like mountains, and idols stood as gods. To leave Ur was to walk away from everything familiar: your lineage, your inheritance, your identity. Yet, in that moment, something unseen stirred within Abram's heart. The call of comfort began to fade, and the pull of destiny grew stronger. He didn't argue. He didn't delay. He simply went. But the journey of obedience always begins with a fracture, with something that must be left behind. And so, the separation began. Abram's steps echoed across miles of desert sand. Every grain beneath his feet carried the weight of surrender. Behind him, the comfort of home. Before him, only the unknown. Sometimes, God doesn't give direction, he gives motion. He says, "Go," and expects faith to fill the distance. But there was another test waiting. For when Abram reached Haran, he stopped. The call had said, "Go to the land I will show you." But Haran looked safe, profitable, comfortable. So Abram settled. For a time. And that is where many of us remain. We leave one comfort, only to find another. We take one step toward faith, then stop where it feels secure. But heaven doesn't rest where comfort reigns. Then the voice came again, "Leave your father's household." It wasn't just about leaving a place anymore. It was about leaving an identity, everything that tied him to the old life. The separation wasn't geographic. It was spiritual. For God cannot build a new promise on an old foundation. Abram's calling demanded more than distance. It demanded detachment. From old loyalties, old fears, old securities. And when Terah, his father, died in Haran, the road to promise reopened. Abram rose once more, older, wearier, but now fully yielded. He took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his nephew, and journeyed toward Canaan. And with each step, heaven whispered again, "I will make of you a great nation." But before there could be greatness, there had to be letting go. And that's the hidden separation, the one few ever see. It's not just the leaving of cities or people. It's the quiet release of who we think we are, so that God can reveal who we're meant to be. Many are called, but few follow because the road to promise always runs through loss. The test of faith is not what you gain, it's what you're willing to walk away from. Then came the famine. No sooner had Abram obeyed than the land turned dry and unyielding. The promise looked barren. Hunger spread. Questions rose like dust. Had God led him to emptiness? So Abram went down to Egypt. He sought survival in the land of abundance. But comfort came with compromise. In fear, he hid the truth of who Sarai was. In panic, he trusted his own wisdom. And for a moment, the man of faith became the man of fear. But even there, God did not abandon him. Pharaoh's household fell under plague, and Abram was driven out, humbled but purified. For sometimes God will strip away false comforts to restore true calling. He returned to the place of the altar, the last spot where he had truly heard God's voice. And there, between the stones, he bowed again. This is the rhythm of faith. We move, we falter, we return. Each separation cuts deeper, until the heart belongs fully to heaven. Then came another moment of division, this time not from cities or idols, but from Lot. Their herds had grown too vast, their servants too many. Quarrels broke out among them. Abram could have claimed the best land, for the promise was his. But faith doesn't cling, it releases. So he said, Choose for yourself, and I will take what's left. Lot looked toward the fertile plains of Jordan, green, alive, like the garden of the Lord. He chose the visible blessing. Abram turned toward the dry hills of Canaan, barren, unseen, like the faith he carried. And heaven watched the separation unfold. After Lot departed, silence fell. Then God spoke again. Lift up your eyes, for all the land you see, I will give to you and your descendants forever. It was only after separation that the full vision came. Lot's choice gave him comfort. Abram's choice gave him covenant. That is the hidden secret behind divine calling. The road to promise often looks like loss. What feels like exile is preparation. What looks like emptiness is sacred ground waiting for faith to bloom. Sometimes we pray for blessings, but God answers with departure. We ask for direction, and He responds with detachment. Because the soul cannot rise while it's tied to comfort. And maybe that's our hidden separation too, the choice between what feels safe and what calls us deeper. Between Haran and Canaan. Between comfort and calling. Every true journey with God begins with a leaving. And every leaving reveals whether we follow Him for His blessings or for His voice. So, when comfort whispers and calling stirs, remember Abram. For the promise doesn't live in the familiar. It waits in the unknown.